Roger Hoover, Tyler Watson, out Damion Square, all with you from the Alabama Credit Union broadcast booth. And Tyler, I'll start with you. We wanted to see some complimentary football. We got it today in this 34-0 win.
The defense, 2 weeks in a row, they played outstanding. But I just love how the offense was able to turn the takeaways into points. That was so important. 3 or 4 turnovers today, five maybe if you include the Damion, what? Wait.
Savage, baby.
Is that what those are? Where's your Slim Jim?
I knew this would get your attention.
You got me distracted, and I'm sorry, but the turnovers were huge today, and Alabama being able to capitalize. That was monumental. I really thought we did some nice things. We're very conservative early on of trying to just give confidence to Jalen Milroe. Short, high percentage passes, able to get some completions under his belt. The running game was more a part of the game plan today. So overall, you got to enjoy what you saw.
Hey, I loved it too, man. I think, this team is very successful, playing off what Tyler said, when Jalen is in triple threat situations. And when I talk about that, I mean him being able to hand the ball off, throw the football, and run the football itself. And anytime we can stay ahead of the chains and have him in those scenarios, we're in favor, and the game is in favor of us, and I think they did a great job of that today early on in the game. Even though they didn't come away with touchdowns, they were able to drain the clock, which, like I said, time of possession is just such an important stat in football. I think people take that for granted. And then they were able to put points on the board to the point where if Missouri made a mistake or they had any type of turnovers, it would, magnify that mistake even bigger. And I think, Alabama is really good when they're playing football like that. Like I said, putting Jalen in situations where anything can happen. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, or he can hand the ball off. And in most of the scenarios on our drives today, we were under those situations. And when we were there, we were in a great place.
And just real quick, your honest assessment of this Missouri offense, is this something that we as fans can really put some hope and faith in, the fact that maybe we've turned the corner defensively, or was this just a weaker opponent?
I wouldn't say it was a weaker opponent. Of course, the snaps during the week, probably was not balanced, between, the backup quarterback and the starting quarterback. So maybe, you saw some of the effects of that, from our offense, not really knowing who was going to play in the football game. But to be honest with you, when the guy was out on the field, I know a hurt quarterback when I see one, and he didn't look, unable to do anything. He had a few times where they pressured him in the pocket. He was able to get out over here, on his side, to his bench. So, the plays that he made in the game, he looked like an able body out there to me. So, for me, I think Alabama played against a good offense today. You cannot take away from how deadly number 3 can be, Burton. You know what I mean? And they tried their best to get the ball to that guy in situations, and they did, and we had answers for it.
34-0, Alabama picks up the win against Mizzou. We'll continue our conversation, plus hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer, when we return to Saban Field. Again, the final score, Alabama 34 and Missouri 0. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Another time from inside the Alabama Credit Union broadcast booth here at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Roger Hoover, Tyler Watts, and Damion Square. And again, a huge victory, a goose egg on the scoreboard that has made Damion very, very happy.
Very happy, man. That's the standard, man. When we come out and play, that's what we play to. We really don't look at the scoreboard, man. That's the standard of a great defense. Guys that really want to play stingy football and have accountability on every play, man. And, you don't want to be an emotional defense, a defense that's only answering to the situation in the game. If your standard is to play at a high level, then you go out, and anytime you get an opportunity to approach the field, you play at a high level. And I think that happened today. We had the starters come back into the game here in the red zone on the 1-yard line because it meant that much to them today to end this game with a goose egg on the score.
Do you think they had to convince the coaches to allow them back in at that point?
I don't think they had to convince anybody. I think they just started running off the sideline, similar to how Texas just started throwing things on the field last week. Yeah, they just took it upon
bum rush it. They can't stop us all.
They took it upon themselves to create change, and that's what happened.
That certainly was good to see. And again, for this football team, there is a lot of good momentum now going into the open date, and then after that, the LSU Tigers.
Hey, man, like I said, we got a lot of Tigers here on the back end of this trip to the playoffs, I would say, man, and we got to take care of them one at a time. We got a bye week coming up here, man. LSU has a football game tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they play A&M tonight, so hopefully A&M can get those guys warmed up for us, and we can come in Baton Rouge and handle them, man. They're going to be at home. It's going to be a crazy environment. They have a good football team, and they play with a lot of pride. But, hey, we got a week to get healthy. We got a week to get the football team that we want on the football field so that we can come in there primed up and ready to get a W, baby.
And, Tyler, another thing we saw today, Jalen Milroe kind of looked more like himself running the football. 11 carries for 50 yards. And not perfect game passing-wise, but put Alabama in some good position.
I still think it's important to him to be involved a little in the running game. I think it like what Damion was talking about, it puts a tremendous amount of stress on a defensive unit. There are still things that he needs to improve on. He needs to attack the line of scrimmage more, step up into the pocket, help his tackles out, especially on third and long situations. But what I was most impressed with, he didn't retreat and take sacks for losses, and he didn't throw any interceptions, no turnovers. That's huge for this offense. We're not good enough to overcome that, but we can be pretty good when we don't turn the ball over and have mistakes.
Four is big time to this whole operation, man. I think just the emotion of this football team is on his shoulders. You know, he's a guy that has tremendous capabilities.
But he kind of wears his emotions, doesn't he?
But he's starting to wear his emotions on his sleeve because, you know, as of lately, he hasn't been receiving the results that he wants. You know, today, like I said, the defense played great football and allowed his mistakes not to, you know, catch up with him. Early in the game, we wasn't really creating space. And previous weeks, that has caught up to us at the end of the second half and going into halftime. But this week, the defense was on his side, man. And sometimes you got to play ball like that. But at some point, he's going to have to be able to win games by just pure execution, you know, and not be so reliant on the defense to be as lights out as they have been. It's good to have that defense on your side, but at the same time, when you're a quarterback and you're in charge of this well-oiled machine, you got so many weapons that you can get the ball to. I was kind of curious of why they stopped going to Law. Law started out the game really physical, moving the ball down the field, and then somehow we kind of got away from that guy. But I think just trying to get these gadgets, the ball in their hands in space, will continue to give that guy confidence. And, you know, as his confidence grows, this team's confidence grows, and this guy can get back to the caliber of ball he was playing towards the end of last year, man. We really, really, really got a great quarterback on our hands, and I'm excited to be behind this guy going into the playoffs.